These stories in today's video are meant to be true. It is up to you if you choose to believe them. Thank you for choosing this video to watch. I very much appreciate it. This happened to me and my girlfriend I was dating back in the summer of 2014. This all took place in South Carolina and my girlfriend and I wanted to take a camping trip. We initially tried to go to a place 45 miles from our hometown, but they were going to charge us double what we thought we were going to pay for. We decided to head back and it just occurred to me there's a spot in very close to where we live. Now I will say it's more boondocking and off-grid. We didn't have to pay for anything, just parked the car and we got out. This place is quite gorgeous. There's a historic bridge and trail, also some of the oldest railroad tracks in the South. We got there before sunset, so we had plenty of time to pitch the tent and set everything up. There were a few cars when we arrived, but they were most likely hikers and would be gone by nightfall. The only thing that made us uncomfortable was a busted up and rusted old white van with no license plate. We both pointed that out thinking it was weird, but we shrugged it off and started walking to a good place to set camp up. After several hours around 3 a.m. following some quality time spent with her and taking in all the nature and then going to sleep, we started to hear this obscure singing and walking around our tent. Anytime you hear commotion that early in the morning, nothing good can happen out of it. I peered my head out the tent to see what was going on. I didn't see anything or anyone, but nonetheless I didn't want to stay in that area when we both were freaked out. Just because I couldn't see it doesn't mean it's not there. I barely did a decent walk around our tent. As we were quietly gathering our belongings, we swore we heard the singing get louder. I recall words in this song he was singing had, "Now won't y'all come out?" followed by this raspy laughing. Once we finally packed the tent, that was when crunching on the leaves and his humming is what we heard, so we knew this guy was close by. We booked it. I grabbed her hand and threw the tent and folding chairs on my back. We made sure to run the opposite way from where all his noise was coming from. Luckily we set camp up fairly close to the parking lot because I could see lights through the trees. As we ran and scurried away from whoever was chasing us, we noticed the lights from the parking lot wasn't just the streetlights, but also, to our horror, it was that old rusty white van we saw at the beginning. We hurried uphill just hoping this guy was alone. His van was right in front of mine. If he had an accomplice, that would be another person to deal with. As we reached the lot we got into the bright streetlights, I noticed my girlfriend's hand make a slight twitch and her pace slowed down. From that I could tell she was turning her head to take a look at our attacker. I heard her gasp loudly, "Come on, don't look, we're almost there." She focused back and we continued running in unison. This guy was getting closer as I can hear the noise of the gravel intensify. I heard his wheezing and him barking, "Do y'all think you'll get away?" As we just made it past the van we split and I handed her the keys so she could unlock, start the car, and I can throw all the gear in the trunk and we can make it out of this place. As I frantically laid the camping gear in the backseat and head to the driver's side, that was when my body faced forward for the first time in a while. Every noise this guy was making was close and amplified now. With the car running I kept my head down to put it in reverse, but curiosity got the better of me. In the brightness of my headlights, this man was a behemoth with a stern, wrinkled face with red patchy hair. A goatee that had dirt and crud smeared over it. His eyes were fixated on us like a scope magnifying on two 10-point bucks. He was wanting to kill. "Get back here," he barked, waving a baseball bat back and forth. I shook my head and with that I swerved out and we were on the way out with our hearts racing. In the rear view mirror we saw the man slam the bat in frustration. A narrow escape. We drove to Waffle House and spent the rest of the early morning until the sunrise. This is probably the creepiest, most unexplainable thing that has ever happened to me. I used to work overnight as a security guard at the local port. Usually none of the port workers would stay overnight except for the safety official. I wouldn't be on the shift alone since the site has a radius of nearly 2 miles. Overnight, usually there would be 3 guards, including me. Since the area was fairly big, there were different posts, but front gate was the main entrance area where all of the guards would be stationed overnight, since there was no need to put them in other posts due to the fact that there was no activity in the site at this time. The veteran guards that have been there for years would often say that the site was haunted, given the fact that there have been accidents and deaths that occurred in the area a long time ago. I was aware that people died there due to freak accidents, and I do believe in angels and demons since I'm actually a religious person, but I always thought that the superiors were just messing with the new guys. I would work 5 to 6 nights out of the week, and for the first few weeks, I never really saw or heard anything out of the ordinary, except for maybe a few questionable creaks, and would see a few misplaced objects while doing my patrol rounds, but nothing too crazy. Just to describe the setting to you, this is a fairly big site, and on occasions when there were big projects being constructed at the port, the workers would sometimes stay overnight. Due to the fact that there were times where port workers were required to stay at the port for a few days, there's a gym in the site for their convenience. This gym is fairly old. In the gym there's a sauna, weights, and even a racquetball court. If you don't know what a racquetball court is, it's similar to an indoor tennis court with thin plastered walls and thick glass doors. Usually on our patrol rounds, me and one of the other guards, Mike, would stop by the gym and play a few rounds of racquetball before returning back to the front gate. On one of those nights, me and Mike decided to hit a full workout instead of playing racquetball in the cage. This is around 2:30 a.m. and the entire building is so quiet that you can hear the electricity running through the lights. The air conditioner is off, and so is everything else. The only thing that's running are the lights. 15 to 20 minutes into the workout, we hear a loud thump. We crossed it off as nothing and continued working out. Then after a few more minutes, we heard the loud thump once more. At first we thought it was our lieutenant, which could have been walking around, but then we radioed him and he gave us his location, which was front gate. We tried thinking logically on what could be making those thumps on the wall. They were coming from the court on the other side. We thought it was the air conditioner, but then we remembered that it was off, and even when it's switched on during the day, there's no reports of thumps coming from the air conditioner. After a few more minutes, the thumps started occurring one right after another. We were very creeped out at this point, but what we were about to witness still scares the absolute shit out of me till this day. We started to approach the other side of the gym to where the glass door was. We turned on the flashlight and aimed it towards the clear glass door, and I got chills all over my body and I started tearing so much out of fear that I was about to cry. We saw one of the balls rolling slowly by itself inside the court, but there was no one in there. So that means the loud thumps were the balls mysteriously being tossed against the wall as if something was playing inside the cage. We were both so confused and frightened to how this was really happening. We couldn't make sense of any of it. We were scared shitless and we started yelling and running away because we knew that there was probably something evil toying with us right there. As we sprinted full speed back to the front gate, the lieutenant saw us and asked why we were tearing and running in a ridiculous manner. We told him what we witnessed and his facial expression scared us even more. He then said, "That's why there's always guards that quit often. There's something evil in the area. And it's not the first time that something that bad has happened here." He then showed us security footage of dark figures and shadows literally passing through the office areas and lights mysteriously switching on and off. Till this day, I still get chills recounting my experience with my friends and family, and I'm even getting chills right now as I'm typing this. I had never had a real encounter with the supernatural until that night. Many say that it was a demonic presence messing around. Others say it was a ghost of a dead person who died in the area. I don't know what it was, but I didn't last long in the job after that. There were other experiences, but I'll send it at a later time. Thank you for the great support, I really do appreciate it. If you are enjoying what I'm doing, why not think about subscribing to my channel? It is free and would help me a great deal. This actually just happened recently in the past month. At my boyfriend's house there's this doll. The doll is very old, plastic. With short brown hair, very creepy. Half of its face is melted into its shoulder, so the look of it gives off a weird vibe. Not even the look, but being around it the energy is off. It's pretty tall, maybe like 3 feet or so. I didn't really pay attention to it the first couple times I went over in the last month. My boyfriend's mom actually found the doll in a storage unit. She goes through storage units. They found this doll wrapped up in a bag and decided to take it home with them. When I first picked up the doll, I actually felt kinda scared but comfortable at the same time with it. I'm a very spiritual person, so I knew something was attached to the doll. When I had left their house, I get a call from my boyfriend telling me it was moving around the house and ending up in weird places. He decided to mess around with the doll and threw it down the stairs, to which its leg fell off. Out popped a brown piece of paper. The message written on it was "worn off from old age." I went over there a week after and brought the doll upstairs with us, to which the dog was up there and started barking and growling at the doll. But I felt comfortable with it and didn't want to let go of it for some reason. It felt like something came over me and I was attached to the doll and whatever was attached to the doll. My boyfriend started asking me why I was acting weird and told me to stop and give him the doll. I don't remember how I was acting because it felt like something took over. I kept telling him that Amy will get mad and that she likes me. That's where the doll got its name from. My boyfriend finally took the doll from me and put it in the opposite room from him. Through his vent you can see the room it was in. The next morning we woke up and the doll was staring right into his room from the vent. I swore to never pick that doll up again because whatever was attached to it isn't good. Ever since then I've been having dreams about demons and the doll. This happened about 7 years ago. I was 13 at the time. This takes place in the summer. I was sitting on the couch with my sister when we heard someone screaming, help me, please." My sister and I both jumped off the couch and looked outside. It was pitch black outside so we couldn't really see anything. Then we heard, "I know you guys are home, I see you." We ducked down so fast. I was scared shitless. My sister mouthed to me, "Doesn't that sound like Lauren?" That's not her real name but I'm just gonna call her Lauren. Lauren's my mom's best friend who lives with us. I nodded and I was like, oh, maybe she needs help bringing things inside. So my sister and I go outside and we don't see her car on the driveway. We're confused at this point and we head back inside and lock and shut all the windows and doors. About 5 minutes later we hear the screaming again. "Help me, I am begging you please." At this point my sister and I are freaked out. We call my mom's friend Lauren to see if she needs help. She answered the phone but she said she was at a friend's house. I asked my sister if we should call the police. She said no. I don't know why she did. My mom came home about 20 minutes later and we told my mom everything that happened. She said that it was probably just some kids trying to scare us. The next day though, my sister and I were talking with our neighbor Jess and she said that she heard someone knocking on her window and then shortly after she heard the screaming coming from around my house. We still have no idea who it was that needed help. The voice didn't sound like they were running from someone, it just sounded like they were trying to lure someone in.